welcome to another Checiegirl Creations video. So this is another dealing with art block video. In this one I will be doing two paintings in 1 hour. First I was just going to do one, but then I did that first one really quickly, so I decided to do another one just to see how much I could do and like how well I could do on a timer. I have timed myself before as a challenge, and that's a really great way I find to kind of get myself out of art block and just get myself creating. I don't have to think too hard about it because I'm on a timer. So it's just a really nice challenge. So that's like another thing you can do if you're dealing with art block. You can time yourself. So for this, I wanted to pick a color palette because I've been finding when I'm doing my color palette Wednesday videos for Patreon, I'm not struggling to create as much because I have like a prompt. So I picked one. I didn't like pick at random. I had three that stuck out to me, and then I picked this one with like red, orange, and like teals, like kind of bluey teals. So yeah, so I picked those out and I wasn't even worried about matching the colors perfectly like I do in Color Palette Wednesday. I was just, this was just to play about. So, and my red tube, this is by Seawhite and Brighton. Those tubes tend to break a lot. So this one died a death. The nozzle broke, so I had to cut that off, i.e. like the huge explosion of paint. So I had to like do quite a big tidy after that, and that also caused me to make another video using that red paint because I didn't want to waste it all. So I started the timer and I was just going in with a flat brush and just putting in a background. I had no idea what I was going to do. I just thought if I just put a background in and just see what happens. So the background consisted of the orange, the red, and some white to just kind of lighten it a little bit, and all the materials I use will be listed down below in the description. Oh, and if you would like to see this video in real time with real-time commentary, you can become a Patreon from just $3 a month, and you can get early access to my Friday videos that will be in real time, so you'll be able to enjoy watching me struggle with creating on a timer. And to be honest, I did enjoy it, especially with this one. It went just really quickly. This one took me like around 20 minutes because I decided I was going to do a face. I'm quite used to doing faces, and because it was like on a timer, I didn't really like worry about making it perfect or anything. I'm still using my flat brush, so I didn't even go into a smaller brush yet. She did end up looking kind of scary, mostly because of the eyes by the end, but I really enjoy creating both paintings, so I didn't mind too much about like the outcome, just as long as I enjoyed the creative process. That was the whole point of this challenge. So as you can see, I'm making her mostly teal. I thought if I make her teal and leave the background with the red and the oranges, she would stand out more. So I'm just going in and adding detail, adding white, so there's more like contrast, and I'll just go back and forth and add the teal and the white and blend it. I'm doing the wet and wet technique. That's my favorite technique to do with acrylics unless I'm going for a different look. But if I'm going for quite a textured look, I do go wet and wet. I just find it more fun to do, and I really like how things look when you mix it on the page, especially like everything doesn't look the same because it's all mixing differently. So that's what I enjoy about painting wet and wet. Ooh, and I thought I would just remind you guys that custom needle felted dog brooches are available. I launched that last week or so ago, so I'll link that down below. And I am working on making the smudge bowls / incense holders available. They take a little while to make, so I'm just making sure that I get them right, and then I can launch that soon. So do keep your eye out for the smudge bowls to be available. Of course, as soon as they are, I will share on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll let you guys know as well in a video. So just look out for those. All of my social media links are also linked down below, so you can find everything there. And I do keep my Instagram particularly updated, so you can check those links out. So you can see I've just blocked in like her eyes and her lips, and I'm adding more like white to the hair. I just wanted the hair to really stand out, and I was adding quite a thick layer of white. I also, when I'm painting wet and wet, I do like to have some like thick strokes of paint, especially when it comes to the highlights. So I was doing that like in the eyes and mostly the hair. And I'm using a round brush now. I forgot to say I did change over to a round brush so I could just It's a bit easier to add detail with a round brush than it is a flat brush. Oh, and that paper, that came from the sketchbook I used for my Color Palette Wednesday videos. I had primed a page and then accidentally I drew on the next one, and that would have annoyed me to have like that blank page in between. So I just tore that out, took off the perforated edge in the beginning of the video like you saw, and I'm creating on that. And for the second painting, I use another page out of there. There's like this 72 pages in that sketchbook, so I figured taking 2 out wasn't too much of a big deal. So yeah, so that's where I got the paper from, and I think it is 140 GSM. I think that's the size, or the weight of the paper, sorry, the weight of the paper, yeah. Oh, and the paper, that sketchbook is from The Works, you can get that from. Okay, so I found that I wasn't getting a very good dark contrast, like there was lots of highlights but not enough dark. So I took out some Phthalo Blue by Reeves, and I'm using that to add in some more detail and some like dark lines, and I like that a lot better. I found everything was kind of stuck in the mid-tones and like highlights, but no like really nice dark tones. So I used that for the darker tones, and I liked how that looked. And I put that in the hair and like around the face and the facial features and stuff. And that's when I found it was really coming together a bit more. Now, if I had just fixed up her eyelids, she wouldn't have looked so scary, but because I was on the timer, I wasn't focusing on all those small details, and that's like the whole point of timing yourself. You really don't focus too much on the details. You're just making something. So yeah, so 20 minutes that took. I signed it and then I put it aside to dry. So I then proceeded to prime another page. Oh, both pages were primed with chalk primer, which is what I make myself. It's like gesso, but it's got a chalky texture, i.e. the name. And if you guys would like me to make things like chalk primer, clear chalk primer, texture paste, like those kind of mixed media mediums I make available on my shop, you can feel free to let me know. I'll probably pop a poll up in an iCard in the top right hand corner, or you can let me know in the comments below if you guys will be interested in me listing the mixed media mediums that I use, that I make myself, because I wouldn't mind making that for you guys if you're interested. So on to the next page. I thought to change things up a little bit, I would make the background with the blue and the teal. So I've watered it down a lot more this time. When I was doing the first one, I didn't even dry the background. I just went straight in with like putting the face on. So with this time, I did have to dry the background once I was finished. And I decided, since it was quite watery, I would do a lotus flower because they grow on the water. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do. So yeah, I put the blue and the teal and white because I didn't want it to be too dark. I just kept on going back and forth quite messily, just like how I did the first one, just not as thick as last time. I didn't want it to have that really heavy feel. I did want it to be quite light like water. So that's what I'm doing with this one. And you'll see like I do add some stronger strokes with like the blue and the teal so it doesn't look too flat. Even when I'm doing backgrounds, and I know most of it will be covered up, I don't like my background to look too flat. I always find it just looks a bit dull, and I like my pieces to have a lot of texture. So when I'm doing a background, I like to be able to see some of the brush strokes, see some of like the paint kind of like not all being one flat color. So that's why I also like doing the wet and wet technique, just because I get to create that kind of texture. So I did dry it with a heat gun before I put in the flower, and you can see the flower will of course be the red and the orange. And I'm just marking it out the same way like the first one with a flat brush. And I struggled a little bit more with this one. And I think it's because I'm not used to working with red, especially this kind of red, this kind of bright, kind of more cold red. If I work with red, it tends to be in very small amounts. Like if I'm doing a face, I'll put like red lipstick, or I might put in like red flowers. And a lot of the time it's more like a rose madder, kind of like richer, darker red, warmer red. Sometimes even more pinkier. So I think because I'm not used to working with red, especially when it comes to making that the focal image, I struggled a little bit more, because the first painting, it was just the background. There wasn't like, I I didn't have to focus too much on it. I just kind of put the paint on and I knew most of it would be covered up. But with this one, I was just struggling to make it look good. For a while, it just looked really flat and bland. So it took a while, quite a few layers, and you'll see it took a lot of layers for it to work out. So when I put the red down first, you can see I blocked in like where the highlights would be. And I put the white in like different areas, and still it wasn't really working out. And then I move on to putting orange in there as well. And I just keep on going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth until I was happy with it. So it took a lot of layers, but I am really happy. This has ended up being my favorite one with how it turned out. I also used the blue for shadows as well. And sometimes I like to use like an opposite color for shading, though I do have to be careful not to create mud, especially since there was orange on the flower. Blue and orange are opposite on the color wheel, so that would create brown. So when you're shading with like an opposite color, just make sure that you're not creating like any muddy browns unless you want to. So I added some like dots kind of rising from the flower just because the rest of the background had nothing going on. It was very bottom heavy, so I thought I'd add those dots. I didn't like how they looked at first, and what I should have done is add the dots first with the end of the paintbrush, like the handle, because that creates a really nice dots, but for some reason it didn't occur to me to do that first. So I did it with the bristles, and I just didn't like the shapes of them. And again, those dots did take a lot of layers before I was happy with it, but I'm really happy with how they turned out. So I think at some point, probably around now, you'll see me go in with the end of the brush. And just like how I added a lot of layers on the flowers, I do go in and add like orange on the dots. I don't think I added blue, but I do add like white, and at some point I add gold. Sometimes like when I'm struggling with something, I just add gold to see if that makes it look better, and it really did. I really did like the gold on this. So I added gold to like the flowers and the dots, and even more highlights, and I was just really pleased with how it looked. Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out if there's anything else I need to say about this. Yeah, I pretty much did use up the hour. I finished this like just before the timer was going to run out. I think this took around 35 minutes around there to finish off. So a bit longer, and you can always tell like when you put more time into a piece because the quality does improve. So yeah, so it took me a bit longer, and I really did like how this one turned out. So I think I'm going to end the video here. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're new to my channel. And please do click that notification bell so you get notified whenever I upload a new video. My schedule is new videos every Friday. So you can look forward to those. I really enjoyed this process. If you guys have any like tips and tricks on how you deal with art block, please do share in the comments below. I do have some more videos coming up where I show you other techniques and other things I do when I'm dealing with art block. So it's a little bit of a mini series, like just kind of happened accidentally, but I guess it's good to share these things. So thanks again for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I will pop some music on for the rest of the video, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.